Hi, welcome back. It's now day 4 of 33 of my video challenge. And this is Dr. Lauren Kaczynski. Hi, I'm back. And I'm addressing or trying to answer the question through this series of videos, what stands in the way of doctors seeking all kinds of solutions and being really creative in trying to make a practice life that suits us better and in which we thrive, not just survive. I'm using my own story to map out some of what this can look like when you start to try to ask questions about things. And some of these are cautionary tales too. I've said that along the way, and really personal decisions. But at the end of the last video, where we left off was this idea of having a parachute. And for me, that parachute meant having a credible holding position so that I wasn't compromising my ability to kind of get back into the mainstream if I chose to do that. The other thing that was really important to me when I was going, because a lot of this will sound kind of haphazard, but actually, even to me, it does in a way, in retrospect. But at the time that I was doing it, I was thinking very carefully about what my strategy was and what I wanted to achieve. So it was really important to me to choose a project that I thought could be completed in the space of a year, where I could make a big dent in the ideas that I was trying to develop. And so this idea of coming up with a business plan made sense. The idea of being in New York, a place that I had really loved being and had been looking for a while to get back to in terms of just a regular surgery job, but hadn't really found the right thing. And the final thing about that I've mentioned in a previous video as well was that I found the New York patient population to be pretty discriminating and a place that would embrace a new idea. Whereas where I was practicing in the Midwest, people tended to go where their insurance told them to go, or where they thought they felt safer, like it seemed more suburban and less inner city, where they had travel time. It wasn't so much that they were choosing their care, even with critical things like what I treated, rectal cancer, which is so dependent on the surgical skill set of the specialist that you're seeing, that it just was a really different kind of experience. So as I was getting ready to do this, in a certain way, I was going back, in a certain way, it was like going home in a way, because I was going back to an institution where I had spent some time when I was transitioning from Alaska into what turned out to be subspecialty training and an academic career. And, you know, it was fraught with all of the same things that, like making a decision when you're at a transition point in life to go home and live with your parents again as an adult while you're trying to make this change. So in a certain way, there's a safe harbor and like it's a known quantity. But on the other hand, there's baggage. So some of the things that I was contending with, just in context with where I was going, was that my main mentor was a colorectal surgeon who was very innovative, a very much out of the box kind of thinker. And the department chair there, well, had come while I was in this previous stay at this institution, and was more conservative in his outlook on things. And at the end of the year that I had as an instructor in surgery there, which was another sort of holding place in making this transition between places. When I went to see him at the end of that year and talk about my experience and sort of get his advice or read on what was to come next, I felt like I needed to continue to do subspecialty training because I was happier with a deeper fund of knowledge and narrower scope than I had been in doing a little bit of a lot of things in Alaska. And he told me unequivocally that I was too old to do a fellowship, which was pretty damning, actually. Now, happily, something came along and I didn't listen to him, and I ended up doing 2 fellowships, two clinical fellowships. But when I completed those and was beginning my job hunt, I knew that people might talk to this chairman for references. And so I had to write him many years earlier now than the time that I was at this change. I had to write him and tell him what had happened. It's never easy to tell somebody you were wrong, even though for me it was a real triumph that I did not 1 but 2 fellowships and was invited to stay at each of those places. So in any event, that's what was ahead of me. And I would very carefully approach this. I had a friend who was well placed in surgery and knew this chairman. He encouraged me not to be limited by my concerns from the past. He made an initial contact. And then I went to New York City twice to meet with this chairman. I had engagement with my mentor, who would be sort of more closely overseeing things. And in that time too, I started to develop I had to develop a video. I had to come up with something to show people, to say, here's what I'm thinking about. So I chose to make a video to accomplish that and describe this unit or this business plan that I was trying to make. And the things the things that were important to me in this holding position, besides academic credibility, were that I had a door opener, that I had a way to call people and say, I'm a scholar in residence at this institution, and I'm interested in studying and looking at how to create a better environment to practice and to undergo surgery. So I'm interested in physician well-being and in patient satisfaction. You know, that's a door opener. That was great. So I hadn't really seen myself as an expert in the field, because it was a new field, for one thing, and certainly the issue of what the constructed environment of the hospital could contribute to patient healing and patient well-being, as well as staff issues, was really, there was very little written about it. And so I'd begun this whole course of reading on a broad spectrum of things. And one of the problems that I was having, which will merit its own discussion, is that as I was reading the literature that was starting to be available about dysfunctional physicians or disruptive physicians, I got angry every time I was reading things. I just thought the analysis was so wrong. It was just so wrong. So then it made me wonder, because I was angry when I was reading it, whether I wasn't the one with the problem. But I was really, and some of that might be true, but I was also really engaged in this question and wanted better answers all the way around than what I was finding available. So that's kind of what sparks new work, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur or you're doing research, it's that you see an opportunity and it seems worthy to you. And so that's the space that I was in. And my plan was, probably because I undervalued, well, and because this chair had undervalued me in a way when he told me that I should just go back to general surgery practice, I didn't ask for payment. I thought I would do locum tenens work, and then to support myself, I got a little bit of financial arrangement from the institution I was leaving, which was really just covering like health insurance. That was the main thing that I was worried about with that. And then I would have a phone number and a business card and access to the library. Those were the three things that I wanted out of this institution, or this visiting scholar position. So I got agreement on all of that, and I made arrangements in the place where I was to sell my condominium and to move, because I wasn't going to be coming back. And this was my launch. So I'll say some more about this in the next video.